Hi guys, welcome back to the To Be Redefined podcast. This is a little bit different than it was before. We're just doing audio today due to some unforeseen technical issues and logistics issues. But we will be back to doing video next time. But yeah, we're back after a long hiatus. It's been
How
like
long has it been?
I think it's been like 2 months or something.
Ooh.
So our
Whoops.
bad. Our bad.
We had valid reasons.
Yes. We'll talk about it. But yeah, we're happy to be back and happy to be with all of y'all again. And we're gonna talk a little bit about why we have not been here and what's going on with our lives and kind of the relaunch, so to speak, of the podcast. So, Camry, how are you?
I'm good. It has been a crazy couple of months.
Yeah, what's going on?
And I mean, I had talked about this a little bit on the podcast before, but I was planning my wedding, and then I had my wedding.
You made it sound like you're like it didn't happen the way you said.
No, it did happen. I promise.
I was
you were a part of it,
and then dun dun dun. No,
you
I was there.
There has to be some suspense, you know.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, and it was a really busy season, and I mean, anyone who has ever been involved in any wedding knows that it can be just kind of stressful, and so there were a lot of things that I had to figure out, and so it felt like it was best to put this on the back burner for a little bit so I could focus on that. And then we had our wedding, and Jenna was one of my bridesmaids.
Yes.
And then it just became there was a need to just settle into being married and figuring out our new habits and routines and things like that. And so yeah, that was the last couple months, but we're back.
Yes. Yeah, we literally, I think the last time we were planning to do this was literally the Monday before the wedding. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, Camber, you're crazy for this. You're literally crazy. But it ended up just being too much for both of us. And we both like mutually acknowledged that.
Yeah.
So yeah, we ended up putting it off a little longer than anticipated. But it's all for good things. It wasn't like nothing major or negative, just busy and good, exciting things. And
yeah, exactly.
I think it was definitely important for you to have some time to like settle into your life a little bit.
Yeah, because it just there definitely is a lot of change involved in that, and we didn't live together before we got married, and so there were a lot of things that were just wildly different immediately after getting married, and none of it was bad, it was just different and things that we're not used to, and so it just it was a lot of figuring out new things and like being able to sleep with someone next to you for the first time and things like that.
Yeah, which if you have
which I also have like insomnia. Literal like diagnosed clinical insomnia. But yeah, so for the first like 2 weeks I just didn't I basically didn't sleep.
It's so healthy. It's so good.
Yeah, just but figuring it out.
Yeah. Where did you go on your honeymoon again?
We went to Ouray, which is this like beautiful mountain town in Colorado. For those of you who do not know, it's spelled really weird and it's like pronounced really weird.
Ouray or something. Yeah.
Ouray. But yeah, I had never been there before, and neither had my husband, and it was gorgeous. And we stayed at this little lodge that had private hot springs attached to it, and it was amazing.
That sounds
especially
awesome.
After like the stress of planning and executing a wedding, because I mean the wedding, it went so well. Like the ceremony went incredibly well.
Yeah,
the reception went well. But then like that night we like got back to our apartment and we were just exhausted. We were
just crashed.
Like, oh my gosh. Like, and I didn't realize until like we were leaving the reception venue, just how tired we were, but we were so tired.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a really nice, relaxing week. And there were so many like good restaurants there. I feel like when you're traveling, it can be hard to know whether a restaurant is like really good or not. But we didn't have a meal that we were like unhappy with.
That's
and
good.
So,
yeah, because in the mountains, especially, because like some of these towns are relatively small, and there's like
and like far apart from other towns and things like that.
Like max 5 restaurants in the whole town.
Right.
And so it's kind of hit or miss sometimes, but that's good. And I've heard a lot. I've never been there, but I've heard a lot of good things about it, and that it's really pretty.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
And yeah, it honestly sounds like very relaxing and much needed for you. But yeah. And then how have things been like since you got back? Just kind of crazy getting back in the routine of things?
Yes and no. Like, I think that the start of marriage, I think that everyone talks about it just being like, oh, like everything's perfect and there's nothing ever wrong. And I think that because a lot of people will come up to us and ask how things are doing, and the way that they ask is just like, oh, isn't it so great? And I mean, it is like a really wonderful thing to have like two lives that are like coming together. And there are a lot of difficult things about it, like things that you just would have never thought of before. And so, yeah, it's been fun though, because now I have like this partner and this teammate for the rest of life, and it's just, yeah, there's definitely like difficult moments and like just the funny things of like not being able to sleep and not like knowing who does what chore, things like that. And so, yeah, there's just like all these things that you didn't have to think about before you got married, and then all of a sudden you do. And I am very, very lucky and very blessed by my husband and just the person that he is, and how we do get to be a team together. And it just I think that in any relationship there's going to be like those ups and downs. But I mean, I also want to be like, I've had some really wonderful ladies like from my church and just other people that I know who they're just like they understand that in real life things happen, know. And that's been really encouraging too, to just have people say, oh, that's completely normal, that you are just figuring this out, and like you aren't used to sleeping next to someone who snores and stuff like that. There's just there's a lot of different moving pieces that go into it, but
for sure, it's good. Well, and I think that's like an important thing, honestly, because when you like pretty much growing up and everything, if you didn't have a super great example of relationships and marriage, or even if you did, I feel like the expectations are always so different than what reality is. And you do kind of expect it to be this like magical, like fairy tale Disney-esque thing, which there are moments that really feel like that, and it's awesome, but there are also moments that are, it's a little uncomfortable, or it's new, or it's, just ironing out, like, do you do the dishes this night? Do I do the dishes? And just being tired too, like getting back into your routine with working and family and everything, and just kind of learning how to navigate all of that for the first time together as like a family unit, because now you're a family, so every decisions that you make and things are on a family basis versus just you as the individual. So I think it's definitely important to like have people around you who can help manage those expectations and kind of like be like, yeah, that is a normal feeling, or that's a normal thing to experience, and we all do. Because I feel like I've seen it both ways. Like, people who, when you're getting married, they either say like, oh, well, it's going to be so magical, and then like they kind of set you up for failure in a way, because it's like then you're just expecting nothing to ever go wrong or be hard.
For it to be perfect.
Especially like the newlywed phase and the honeymoon phase, and so you like think that it's going to be perfect, and then you feel like there's something like maybe wrong with you or your relationship, or you're just like blindsided by the way that things go,
by reality,
and just reality, and just life,
just the normal, like, and some things are just like part of being a human being, and and it's just, I think that there's part of it where it's not exactly the same, but similar, just whenever you're living with someone completely different for
Yeah.
the first time and
Just
things like
anybody, like
that.
a
Yeah.
roommate, anybody. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just you get to know someone really well by living with them.
True.
And
Yeah, it's just a different level, like especially not
yeah.
living with them
Mhm.
before like you got married and stuff. Like that's a huge adjustment
Yeah.
on like in and of itself cuz yeah, you don't really fully know everything about a person or their
Mhm.
habits or
Yeah.
what they're like when they're stressed out or things like
Yeah.
that. Like it's definitely takes some getting used to and working through communication and things
Mhm.
like that. But also there's lots of beautiful things about it and like
Yeah,
getting married
definitely.
young, like at least in my experience, I'm so thankful I went through all of that when I was young
Mm.
before I had gotten kind of set in my ways and like,
Yeah.
I like the dishes done this way and like
Yeah.
and just like hating hating the other person because they're not fitting into my mold of what my day-to-day life or what I think it should look like
Mm.
because you
Yeah.
guys can kind of work through that together and experience that together and kind of come up with something that works for both of you and it's a
Mhm.
lot easier to be flexible, I guess.
Yeah.
At least in from what I've like heard other people say who've gotten married young, and also just in my own experience, I feel
Yeah.
like it's
Yeah,
kind of
for
an
sure.
advantage, honestly, in that
Mhm.
regard. But yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad
Yeah.
things are getting back to
Mhm.
normal plus one.
Yes,
But
exactly.
yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
But yeah, I trying to think like we were just talking about this like it's weird when you're around other people who didn't just get married because
Yeah.
like your whole life has changed so much and everyone around you it's just like kind of same old
Yeah,
but
I've had so many conversations where I'll be like, it's someone that I haven't seen like basically since I got married.
mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, what's new with you? And they're just like, nothing. Like it's
Yeah.
been the exact same. And I was just like,
What?
everyone else's lives haven't changed too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Because I mean, everything about my life is all of a sudden different.
for sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's kind of funny that no one else's life has changed that much.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm like I feel like I'm trying to think. I mean, I was part of the contributing reason why we took a break too because I just was a little bit like needing a break
You
and
had a
just
lot going
life
on
has
too.
been a little bit chaotic in a
Mm-hmm.
good way. Like because I mean I went from working full time at like my day job and doing my business to like I went back to part time
Mm-hmm.
and I thought it was going to give me more time which it
Right.
did but now my business is like getting busier and expanding which is fabulous because that's the goal obviously
But it's just, yeah, it's
but now
another
it's like
change. Yeah.
expanding like the more time I have the more things expand to where it's like I still don't have time somehow
Yeah.
and I have
Yeah.
more time so that's just kind of the phase I'm in where like I just kind of needed to take a break and I
Mm-hmm.
went on vacation with family and stuff like that too so it's it's been some play and some fun
Yeah.
and lots of work and good stuff there too but yeah, it was just kind of a much needed mental break for me as well to come
Mm-hmm.
back and feel refreshed and like ready to do this
Yeah,
again because
exactly.
it does take some time and some energy to do this. So,
Yeah. And I
yeah,
think that we also want to give our best
mm-hmm.
here as well as in all other areas of our lives.
Yeah,
But you can't do that if you're just constantly thinking about like how stressed you are or how you don't have time and things like that. And so sometimes the best thing is to take a break and just
yeah,
rest and say no to some things. And I
mm-hmm.
mean, we've talked about boundaries a little bit on this podcast, and I think that knowing for yourself where your boundaries are and like when you do need to say no to things, I think that that's really healthy to just be like, no, I need to take a break from this or say no to this family event or whatever it might be. Like, because you can't do everything.
For sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
and you do have to prioritize as much as I am terrible at that, and I love to fill every free second with something to do,
Mm-hmm.
whether that's work or spending time with friends or family. Which
Mm-hmm.
again, all good things, but sometimes you just have to kind of take a step back and give yourself some room to breathe.
Mm-hmm.
Because also that's the thing is, like being creative and coming up with ideas and stuff like that. Like you can't create and be that like you're in that headspace when you're tired and
Right.
kind of like mentally kind of burnt out
When you've already given
um
like your all.
Yeah, and so, and I can't kind of came off like a spell of like 2 years of just straight work for the whole time, pretty much.
Right, yeah.
So I needed it for a minute, and
Mhm.
also like for my business, I feel like, I mean, photography is a very creative thing.
Absolutely.
So I needed it for that as well, just to
Mhm.
kind of refresh myself. So it's, for both of us, I think it was a very necessary thing, but we are super excited to move forward to something new.
Mhm.
And yeah, I guess we can like talk a little bit about the direction we want to go. We definitely want to keep things like the same as far as kind of the format a little bit, just kind of talking about like womanhood and our
Mhm.
stories and things like that. But we also kind of want to expand it a little bit. And we're probably moving forward going to change the format a little bit by, um, maybe reacting to certain like videos or memes or headlines or just kind of current events more.
Mhm.
Because I just feel like we can only talk about the same stories so
Yeah,
many
and
times,
I do think that I don't want us to feel like we're in a bubble
Mm-hmm.
either, or that like there are things that we like won't talk about and things like that. Like I
Yeah.
think it's good to just see what else there is, and to keep in mind the rest of the world, because I think that that's really important, not just that we are figuring out what it means to be women for ourselves and for our listeners, but that we're taking that into the world as well.
Mm-hmm.
And you can't, I think it's hard to do that when we just talk about certain things and we
For
don't
sure.
talk about like what else is going on in our lives or in the world and things like that.
Yeah, I agree. And also, like, I think the point of this podcast, like, in a way, it's kind of therapy for us, in case you haven't noticed. But also, like, we want it to be, about you guys and have it be interesting and helpful to you guys as well. And so I feel like, yeah, kind of expanding things a little bit and getting outside of the comfort zone that we're in and
Mm-hmm.
the kind of the genre that we're in. I think it will, be more entertaining, more interesting, and also just maybe a different perspective and help you guys more. So, yeah, we're pretty excited about it, and we're gonna really do our best to get back to the regularly scheduled programming, and posting more often. Now that things are kind of settled down a little bit, and
Mm-hmm.
we're kind of past some of the craziness for
Right.
now. So, yeah, I am pretty pumped about it. So,
I am too. I think it'll be good. If you
yeah.
guys have any good memes, send us.
Yes, honestly, y'all, we put our Instagram in there anyway, so at the end on the last screen, go look at our Instagram. Most of you already follow it anyway, probably. And you can like DM us ideas or
Yeah.
anything that you see or questions you have,
Mm-hmm.
that you'd like us to talk about. So, yeah.
Yep.
Well, we love you all and hope you have a great week.
Bye.
Bye.